Well, it's great to see you. You look beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Listen, I am so grateful for you because I know how busy you are, Wendy. You are running an empire and still
Yeah.
building your empire. You have your Facebook, two Facebooks actually. You have your talent managers for actors, and you have the Hollywood Winner Circle, which I am a member,
Oh, good.
gratefully. And
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge something first and foremost. Now that I have the time one-on-one with you, I
Okay.
will acknowledge your generosity, how generous you are. Because I joined the Hollywood Winner Circle in 2022, and I
Mhm.
was just a beginner. We were doing the meetings, the
Yeah. Yeah.
weekly meetings. And
Hmm.
then I was not the only one in the group. There were like hundreds of people joining every time. And then you bring all these guests, amazing guests from the industry and people who teach us different things.
Yeah.
And one day there was someone who were teaching us techniques, audition techniques for our self tapes. And then out of the blue, you go, who lives in New York? And they were in New York. Who
Uh,
lives in New York? Raise your digital hand. So we all raise our digital hands, and then you go, you know what? I'm going to sign you all up for this person's classes. You didn't have to do that. You paid for all of our classes and you send us. And I was like, oh my God, this is so generous.
oh.
And then this was not the only time. There were another time where somebody else was in the class teaching us about audition techniques their way and what they thought. And they wrote a book, and they were not even talking about their book. And you said, you know what, guys, this person wrote a book. It's amazing. You should all have it. Whoever is in this room today, I'm going to buy the book, and you send us the book. And now, out of your busy time and busy schedule, you found time to just be a guest, honorable guest. I'm very
Oh.
honored to be on my podcast, which I am beyond humbled and grateful.
Well, thank you. Those are such beautiful things to say. Thank you for
Because
remembering
it's
those things.
based on true story.
It
True
is no,
story.
it's thank you for remembering those things. I do that instinctively. I just want to help all the time. I feel like my mission, like I feel like God is using me truly to help actors, and my ministry is actors. And I am always just trying to figure out, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? What do they need? How can I help? And so I'll go out of my way. I'll do whatever I have to do to help actors. But what I've learned over the years is that you can't help everybody. No matter how much you help some people, they will not take the action in their own for their own careers and in their own best interest. They're either too scared or they don't believe in themselves. And so I got to fight for those people too. That's a different battle. It's like, I got to fight for you to believe in yourself enough to take the action, because I can give you the actions, and I do. And I can bring in all kinds of people to show you how it's done and encourage people to do it. But if the person doesn't believe in themselves enough to do it, then they will stop themselves until they can really start to feel that they're worthy, that they deserve success, that they deserve to have a career, and that's a mental battle I have to have with people. That's not just looking at someone's headshots and saying, okay, let's use that one, use that one. That's getting them in the first acting class. They've been too afraid to do it. But they've got so much talent, you know what I mean? And they're being like called to do it. They just need that push. So I'm the one that kicks them in the ass and pushes them.
Now that you're mentioning that,
Yeah.
I would love for us to talk about your mindset, because I think you have this fabulous, strong powerhouse mindset.
Mm.
And that is the fuel for your success, obviously. And I want to go back in time and talk about when you were a little girl. All of this started with a dream, right? With a dream of becoming a singer in your Connecticut bedroom.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
became a recording artist for over
Yeah,
20 years before you even became an agent, right? Agent.
correct.
So, have you ever thought when you were a little girl that you would come this far in life? And what basically made you pursue that dream? Or how long did it stay as a dream? Did you take enough? What was the role of your parents supporting you and all that? Please share that.
Wow, those are interesting questions. Thank you for asking. Well, uh, my dedication, even as a kid, was always, I'm going to do the thing I'm dreaming of. Like, it's not an option. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And my parents are both college professors, educators, and I had a really great childhood, a beautiful upbringing. I was very loved, very, very well taken care of, very supported. My mom was huge into the arts. My mom and dad were huge into music and film and TV and actors and plays and art galleries and museums and taking us to events that were very artistic. So I've been surrounded by the arts my whole life, and I think I've just been in love with artists since day one, you know. And I think one thing that makes me unique is that I've always been trying to become a better version of myself every day. Push past every fear, every block, every barrier, everything that I see myself getting in the way of. So I never thought like I wasn't going to get past those things and become a singer. I just knew that I was going to get past things. And so I had terrible stage fright. Like I had terrible, terrible stage fright. Absolutely. I had it so bad. I would refuse to talk in front of people at didn't want to be called on in class. I didn't want I mean, I could do theater and hide amongst like a team of other actors around me on stage and be a part of a production. But if someone said, I want you to stand in front of all of everyone and sing, the answer was no. And the answer was, I'd rather die than do that. So kill me now, because I'm not going to do it. Seriously.
Or
Well, I was so afraid of rejection. I was so afraid. But listen, at home, I was singing every day. I was practicing and singing, recording myself, listening back, making sure it was perfect, doing it again and again and again. I would record myself and practice 6 hours a day, every day, from the minute I got home from school until like it's time to do other things. But I mean, like literally, that's all I did every day for years and years and years and years. And I would do like these covert things, like open the front door and sing so that neighbors maybe could hear, you know, but I would not go somewhere and sing where people were purposely listening to what I was doing. That was it. But my drive to be a singer was so strong that I was willing to get over that. So I did therapy, I did seminars, I did self-help work, I did pushing myself to take actions even when I didn't have the courage or the confidence. I just made myself do it anyway, which later I learned is a concept called contrary action.
yes.
It's a concept that when you want to do something but you're too scared to do it, you take the action anyway. It's called, you take a contrary action. You might feel like sitting down and hiding in the back of the room, but instead you go right to the front and you do it anyway. You face your fear and do it anyway. And I curated that ability in myself from a very young age. And I had my fascination with people was always that conversation. So if I was in elementary school, high school, junior high, people used to come to me and say, Wendy, I've got this problem. What do you think I should do? And I would be like, face it head on. Let's take it, you know, let's go walk through the fear. You got to push yourself. And I was having that conversation like I was born into that conversation, and I'm still having it all these years later. You know, and that's been the theme of my life is the realization that you can be whatever you want to be. And whatever you see in your mind, it's there because you've been given that ability to go with it. You've been given what it takes to do that, or you wouldn't have that vision. Seriously, I listened to a book by Rick Warren years ago, who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said in it was, God has shaped you for a specific purpose. If you had a different purpose, you'd have different interests, different passions, and you'd be drawn to different things. So if you're drawn to those things, it's because you're shaped to do that. So for example, I don't care anything about math, physics. I can't wrap my brain around it. I don't have the tolerance or interest to try to learn it. And when I start reading it, I could go to sleep. It's not my calling, and I'm not shaped for that. and somebody else is. So that person who is reading about it, watching videos about it, writing about it, taking classes about it, doing like living in it, because they're shaped for that.
Mhm.
I'm shaped for this conversation, right? And so the conversation I was shaped for is you're capable of what you are dreaming of, that blueprint is in you because that's what you're made to do in this time you're here. And you will come up against resistance, but it'll come from you most of the time. And sometimes it'll come from external, your parents' voices, your society voices, your experiences, bad things that have happened to you. Maybe people didn't believe in you, whatever, whatever. But ultimately, you have a choice. Does that define you? Or do you take the action anyway to define yourself? And that's the kind of I don't care which field or which subject of interest, every single person will come against their own fears and limitations and self-doubts, and they have to push past those to go on to become who they're meant to be. And so I just like to grab people when they're there and be like, ugh.
Yeah. Yes, that is very interesting. You mentioned, I have read that book. That book is so beautiful and absolutely right. We have all the tools that we need in order to become what we are here to become.
Yes. But
Yes.
we have to train it, and we have to, we have to master the techniques around that specific thing. I mean, you could be driven to be a physicist or someone who's going to be a scientist or discover, some medical thing, but you have to discipline yourself to study medicine, to practice for endless hours. And, so you've got to discipline yourself to become an expert at that thing you want to be.
That's right.
But you are made to become that. And my biggest fear and my biggest concern has always been that people will die before they do that. And it really tears me up, right? That really tears me
Oh
up.
no. Now that the conversation came to this, the first video I saw, I actually had, I participated in one of your introductory workshop about your program, and I didn't know anything about, I didn't know you, I didn't know about your program, anything at all. And I attended that workshop, and you were talking about the secrets and all that. And then you started talking, and you always talk from here. You don't talk from here.
Right.
That we all know. And you grab the audience's heart and spirit, and you talk to their spirit and soul. And I cried on that on that day when you were talking. I'm like, she knows exactly what I'm going through. She knows she is talking for me and from my heart. And I signed up. I didn't even had to wait for the end of the sales speech and all that. I just signed up immediately. And I'm like, I want to learn. I want to learn from her. Her mindset is exactly what I want to learn from.
Yeah, wow.
And then anyway, so that is your power, and you achieved it. Did you always had this, or you had to recreate yourself and get to this point?
I have to continually create myself. I mean, I was born biracial. So my mom is white, my dad is black, and I was born in the 60s. And I was born in an Italian community that hated black folks.
Okay.
So I was bullied from a young age, which caused me to doubt my value when dealing with the world. So even though inside, when I'd go home, I'd sing and sing and sing, and I felt like, oh my God, I mean, I was in my zone. I love singing, and I knew it sounded good, and I worked hard to make it good, so I knew it was good. But my fear was, when I've gone out into the world, I've been treated differently. So that wasn't like I wasn't signing up to run out there and get abused. It was like, so I would tend to avoid conflict, hide from, like, when someone would bully me and call me all kinds of names and throw shit at me or whatever, physically throw things at me. There was a couple people that were bullied, mixed girl, Jewish girl, the black girl, all of them. But they're always the same little white racist little boys. and I would just smile and pretend like nothing happened. I never ever stood up for myself and said, "What the hell did you just say to me?" I mean, I just was like, "Oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow." And so I kind of avoided the conflict, pretended nothing hurt me, and then went and kind of just felt afraid of being hurt by the world, right? So I was dealing with that, but I knew that could not be my barrier to being a singer. It's like, no, I'm going to have to get past that, past my fear, and past people maybe judging me. So I kept taking contrary actions and forcing myself to do all the things I was uncomfortable doing, singing in front of people, doing all the stuff until I was strong enough to do it without even worrying about what people thought. I don't care what they think, right? So then I had other challenges. I'm bipolar. So then I had that thrown on me at some early age, which basically for me, so we can talk about mental health, um, my bipolar swings in two ways. It swings manic or hypomanic.
Okay.
It doesn't swing depressive. So I don't go in my room and shut the door for 6 months and never do anything. What happens is I'm up 7 days doing everything. Like I got so much energy and so much to do, but I use that for good. I create programs, I create videos, I help people, I have long time conversations. My schedule is so packed because when I'm manic, I'm so capable. I feel like it's a superpower. Like I could clean the house, wash the car, write a program, create a course, teach a class, do a podcast. Like I have a class I have to teach in a little while, I get so much done. So for me, it's never been a problem. It's been like a little secret
Sure.
super
You looked at it as a cure.
for me. For
Versus
me, and then the third challenge I've been given in this lifetime is I'm alcoholic. And I've been sober over 22 years, right? And now that's a program where you have to work on yourself all the time to stay sober. So my life has always been work on yourself, become better. Work on yourself, become better. Get past your fears, get better. Get past your bullying issues, get better. Get past your bipolar, get past your alcoholism. It's never been like, it's always been something where I have to keep working to become better and better and better. And that's my commitment. I could have said, fuck it. I'm not doing nothing. I am what I am. This is but my goal has always been, what am I really? Who am I really? What am I creating? Who has God made me really to be? And I will get myself out of everything that's in the way, whether it was a physical ailment like bipolar, which I had no control over, just born that way. Alcoholism is genetic. My grandpa, my cousins, my brother, not my brother, my dad's brothers, all alcoholic. So genetic, two genetic strikes. Being biracial, I had no control over that. So I was given these genetic strikes in a way. Some people could have called those negatives, not me. I feel like they're superpowers. I do not want to be black or white. I love being mixed. I do not need to be not bipolar. I love being bipolar. And the alcoholism in me brought me to the most amazing 12-step program that made me take full responsibility for myself, my life, my choices, and my actions in a way that most people will never look at themselves. So I feel like that's been the greatest blessing, is to have been diagnosed as alcoholic and be like, well, I didn't go, well, fuck it, I'm going to go live under a bridge. I went, well, let me get in a program and work on it, right?
good for it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Sure. And I want, people who are listening, don't feel shame about where you come from, what you are, who you are. You decide who you are. Because some people come from abuse. Some people have been raped as a kid. Some people have been beaten. Some people have been neglected, abandoned. But you can't let those determine who you are or how far you're capable of becoming. Ever.
So basically, I do believe myself that following your passion, following what your true calling is, has healing power.
Oh, yeah. I think that's true too. But I think yeah, I mean, it definitely does. But even if you're following your true passion, you still have to heal the wounds of your soul. Because there were times like when I became a singer, professional singer, right? I was living in Connecticut and I wanted to move to LA to become a singer. So I came out to LA without any plan, without any money, without anything. My friend was driving to LA to move, and I said, I'll go with you on the drive because it was 6 hours, it's a 3-day drive, my best friend. And when I got to LA, I was like, I'm staying. So I got a job. We shared a studio apartment. We didn't have a 1-bedroom, it was a studio apartment. I got a job. I worked 3 jobs when I came out. I had a day job in a publicity firm. I worked in 2 restaurants in Beverly Hills, one as a waitress and one as a hostess. So I worked 3 jobs and I still had fear, self-doubt, worry I wasn't good enough, all kinds of other stuff, but I was determined to sing. So every time an opportunity, I had done enough work on myself over the years that I could say yes when opportunities came. I didn't say no. I said yes to whatever they were. And that led to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And even though there was times when I had a hit record on the radio, I had videos on MTV, VH1, I could turn myself on and see myself. I could listen to the radio and hear myself. I still had feelings of not good enough. You still have it. You live with it, but the voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter. The more you confront it, the more you put yourself out there, the voice gets quieter. And you have to keep taking those actions and keep becoming your next best version of yourself. Because you can't stay where you are. There's always more to be. You're always becoming. And if you work hard at becoming healed and healthy by facing who you are and accepting it and then loving it, the voices of self-doubt get quieter and quieter and quieter. They can pop up still. Like every time you try something new, they can start going, whoa. And you're like, no, because you develop a muscle of like, no, that's not the thought that's driving me here. Thank you.
Absolutely true.
Do you know what I mean? It's like Matt McConaughey always says, you have two wolves. Which one are you going to feed? The one that's telling you can't do it, or the one that's telling you can? Because they're both going to be there talking. And whichever one you focus on is what you're going to live. That's your life. That's going to be your life. And since you have the power to choose this one or this one, I'm just choosing this one. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how scary it is. I don't care what I have to do. That's the path I'm going to stay on until the day I'm dead. Right. So
Rumi says, in order to get what you love, you must first love what you hate.
Interesting.
In order to get what you love, you must first
What does
love
it mean?
what you hate. So basically, what you love, I give an example.
Personal example, yeah.
It's an example. So I love, like I said, I love to hit my full potential before I leave this planet.
Yes.
Live my body. And I am every day in search of finding that person, nourishing what I have in my backpack as tool, as gift, as power, and feeding them, keep healing every day, like you mentioned. And I do all this stuff, the workshops, this and that. You just name it, I do it.
Right.
No drugs, nothing like that. But anyways, but in order for me to become that version of myself, which is the true potential that I am gifted with,
yes,
and came into this world, and I know I love acting. I know,
right.
I'm really passionate and I want to just be the best actor that I can be. And along the way, I add keys to my piano, singing here, dancing, and all the other stuff that I do. But it's not given to me on a silver platter. That means whatever I love, it's not there for me to go grab it on the spot without having to go through all the things that I do not want to do.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly.
So basically, there are sacrifices that I have to make. There are decisions that I have to make. There are works that I have to work that are not 100% aligned with my purpose and with my passion as an actor. but I
Yeah.
have to do them because of the other responsibility that I have, obviously. Um, so those are the things that I'm not gonna say hate.
Right, right.
These are the things. So Rumi says that because I think there is a more spiritual meaning to that because we don't have this strong desire, strong passion, or we're not even inspired by those activities.
Yes, I know
They
exactly what you
don't
mean.
energize us,
Yes.
but we have to first learn to love them in order to get to where we want to be and get to what
Under
we love,
That
right?
is so deep and so profound, and
Isn't
that's so
it?
true. Yeah, because when you are trying to get to like, so for me as a coach, okay, as a coach who helps people move from excuse to result. Okay, I that's my passion. Excuse to result, and fear to result, self-doubt to result. There are going to be things you have to do in that path that are not you don't want to do, but you have to embrace that as part of the path and go in and be grateful for the opportunity of those challenges because they're strengthening you. They're making you who you are, right? I think of it like that. That story about the butterfly, although probably people know that the caterpillar in the cocoon, right?
Mm.
And it's wrapped in the cocoon, and it has to live in that cocoon, and then at some point it's growing its wings, and it's going to eventually emerge from the cocoon, but it's struggling to get out. It has to struggle to get out, and if you see it, you do not go there and pull the cocoon off because the butterfly will die. It has to struggle because that sends all of those liquids or whatever down into its wings that strengthen it and allow it to fly. It has to struggle to build what it's going to need to become something that can fly. So there is struggle in becoming. And if you shy away from the struggle, instead of embrace the struggle, like Rumi is saying, love the struggle, love the things you love, all of it. I think also that lends to a higher consciousness about love the entire journey. Because this life is this life is so precious and so special and so amazing. The things that hurt you are things that build you. The things that you're afraid of are things that can strengthen you, you know? So if you're alive and breathing, you are growing and learning and being given an amazing gift. And so if you can wake up every morning, this is how I wake up. My eyes open and I go, thank you, God, for another day. What? I'm still here? Okay. The gratitude begins right away because a lot of people didn't wake up. So then you walk into your bathroom, right? You have indoor plumbing. There's a lot of people that don't have it. I just put a load of wash in. There's a lot of people out there beating laundry on rocks, carrying it 6 miles. I'm not doing that, right? So I can look at everything as a blessing, everything I have. And then I always say everything I don't have. I'm not blind. I don't have cancer, praise God. I don't have a brain hemorrhage. I don't have heart disease. I don't have this. I don't have one leg. You know, like how grateful for everything we don't have. If you can live in gratitude every day for every moment, everything that you've been through is making you who you are, and be grateful for those challenges and grateful for all of it. I think that you'll be a happier person. You know, it's when people are angry at what's going on in their lives, they're angry at experiences they have, and they want to hold on to the anger rather than let it go and just accept it all as part of the process. But you got to work to change your thinking on those kind of things. You know, people have to, my mom always says, people would rather die than think.
Because thinking, yeah,
Facing yourself, like holding up a mirror and going, oh, let me take an inventory of myself. And in AA, they teach us to take an inventory, right? And an inventory means you take an inventory of the good stuff and the bad stuff. Okay, it doesn't mean you, like if you're going through a store and you're taking an inventory, you don't just take an inventory of the dented cans, take an inventory of all of it, right? And then you decide what you need to replace. So when you do an inventory of yourself, you look at your good qualities and you write them all out, and you look at your negative qualities and how they're not serving you. And then you work hard on fixing those negative ones to turn them into assets, turn the tables. But most people won't sit down and look at themselves because they will never admit they're wrong, and they're too scared to be honest with who they really are. And it's easier just to make excuses. Like if I'm talking about actors that are not going to make it, it's easier to not take the action and never know if they could have made it because they never took the action. So they don't know for sure. So they can still have the fantasy. Well, I probably could if I tried. Why don't you try and find out? Well, then we're going to see what you're really made of. Are you going to figure out how to pay for acting classes? Are you going to go to auditions and when you don't book it, go, fuck it, I'm going to keep going and go to the next audition, the next audition? Are you going to always be training? Are you going to keep figuring out how to pay the bills, how to have a day job, how to balance your auditions? Are you going to keep looking for opportunities to connect with people? Are you going to get over your fear of reaching out to people? Are you going to really do what it takes? Either you are or you aren't. So if you get honest with yourself and say, well, I've been willing to do this much, but I've not really been willing to do this. Your success is on the opposite side of whatever you've been too afraid to do. I'll say it again. Success is on the opposite side of whatever you've been afraid to do. So your biggest fears are the things you must conquer because success is on the other side of that. But then that's going to require some grit to like look at those things, right? And most actors, most people who have goals find that too painful to look at. So they just take a day job, a backup plan. They work in an office. They do all kinds of stuff that sucks the life out of them because they're not living their purpose.
That is safe.
It's safe. It's like, I think Jim Carrey's dad, Jim Carrey said that about his dad. His dad was so talented. He could have been this, that, and the other, but his dad took the safe route of becoming like an accountant or something. But what happens to people who are creatives in the soul is they go to those kind of day jobs. And after 20, 30 years in there, they go, what the hell did I do with my life? What did I didn't do what I was really called to do. And then they make a decision. I'm 50, I'm going for it. Time is short. And those people are really amazing to train because they come in ready to do the work.